at it. Yeah, morning stream. And I don't know exactly what the plan is for this. I know it's probably sounding like a recurring thing, but I am gonna kind of get to a stopping point pretty soon here with the photo site in terms of getting ahead of where Ari is. I think it's gonna start hitting like a point of diminishing returns where I guys sent him some stuff over this morning. I think there's a couple things to look at, a couple things to kind of button up, and then kind of see what happens. Really, yeah, I'd probably have like 3 hours, maybe 2.5, 3 hours for me to kind of like get into whatever. Again, I think a couple things with the photo site again, but I'm probably rolling off at that at some point. So if there's anything be interested in, because I think I've been just doing like, well, I know I've been doing all photo stuff or photo site to this point. So I don't know if people are sick of that. It's been a lot of fun to kind of just dive into like the details and starting from scratch, like super unnerving. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm happy how it came through. I think it's something that's like non-traditional. It's, I don't know, it may be too out there. It's for sure something I'm worried about, but at the end of the day, like, what can you do? So, yeah, I feel like there was something else I was gonna just mention. I'm really putting a lot of thought into like whether I should, like where I should live stream. I think so far it's been built up on YouTube, which I think has been good. I think there's some people showing up there, which is great. Twitch seems to be kind of where there's a lot more streaming tools. Let me, well, you might be stuck with me for a second. I'm just gonna put it in the, actually I have to turn off. I don't know why, it always like plays audio whenever I go into like my Twitch channel. So if you guys don't, well, sorry, scrambling. I'll get me out of there. But oh, I can't see. So I can only comment into the what? Sign into chat. It's basically, it's JW.S studio. I gotta see why this is doing this. Open, no. Web browser. Oh, let me make sure I'm not sharing details. Sorry, this is kind of the greatest start. Oh, here we go. So this is only gonna show up in the YouTube chat. But there's the link for the Twitch. Potential to switch like everything over to just entirely Twitch, but I will take a look at that. This time is so good. Nice. Yeah, again, like I'm trying to figure out what the best time is. It seems like this might be a good one. It is when I do a lot of, like I usually have my work sessions in the morning. I don't know if it's too early for some people, like West Coast. I don't know where most people are. I think they're kind of all over the world, which is super interesting. Hello, John Way. Well, hi, Manish too. What's going on, everyone? Twitch's big potential. You got views? Yeah, I think that's, like I'm watching the kind of audience for YouTube live streams compared to Twitch, and it seems like Twitch is outperforming YouTube, like even for pretty big streamers. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on. So yeah, all the different features. So I'm gonna go through. I'm gonna do a lot of like the customization for, like I was talking about last night, a lot of the notifications. So if anyone subscribes, notifications will show up, but it's like all the default stuff. Could be a fun stream coming up with doing the design of those, doing the animation of those, doing the sound design. Just something different. So, yeah. So if you have any questions, feel free to just, lob them over. Otherwise, I'll probably start diving in on some of the stuff. There's a couple of things, like these captions, some of the sequencing I think I need to figure out. I was playing around with different navigation. Don't think that is going to work. Let's see. Just the stories. Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of having the nav in the middle, but I'm also thinking about people coming from my site and how that linking all works. But again, trying to focus on getting the sequencing all down, just so Ari can be in a good spot, and I can focus on other stuff. I have all these symbols. There's a lot of stuff going on with these symbols. Where's the preload? Why's the meta showing it? Don't tell me. Edit source. Oh, and there you go. Actually, so one thing we're also talking about is like where the preload happens. He and I were chatting this morning, specific to this page, and it's like the two options we have right now is to load images this small, where you could have more of them, but the second you click into them, there's going to be like a little preload. And depending how big we go, how compressed we can get it, some of the initial testing of like the XL images at pretty decent size, looking like 700K, which isn't huge, but it's still like there's going to be some momentary like the site's going to have to lock. But so that'll be once you get to here. So this is like the caption state I was working on yesterday. This needs definite refinement. Yeah, all these like little states. But again, like this is getting ahead of it, and I think sorting out all framework stuff is pretty much done. I'd like a little more polish, and yeah, kicking off. I know I'm doing a terrible job just rambling on. Quick question, what is your process for designing static parts along with 3D WebGL components? Like, do you design the 3D image transitions first, then build the text HTML stuff after? What about WebGL components and Sketch Figma wireframes? That's a good question. So a lot of the stuff I send over to Ari. So if you don't know, Ari Benoit is the developer that that's the one that or the developer who I've been working with lately. He's doing the development. This will be primarily in WebGL. I think there's going to be non-WebGL components, but I kind of defer to him in terms of like how that all breaks down. I think when it comes to moving lots of images and all sorts of Canvas stuff, he typically goes WebGL. I probably shouldn't be speaking for him. Yeah, Ari's the one to talk to. So for me, like how I work with him is like I'll do motion states, and I've worked with other developers in the past where I've needed to like put together full, like basically like rough proof of concept prototypes to show the different easing states. But I think for me it's like establishing the flow. So I'll establish like the load in, the resolve state, transitions of like dragging. And this is like all reflected in these different like symbols. So you kind of like, with him, as long as I give him like basically the keyframes of the animation, he'll fill in the gaps. There's times, and like if something needs tweaking, I'll just go back to him and be like, you know what, the easing on this isn't quite right. Like the load in sequence isn't quite right. Like the transition, the way it's coming in feels a little weird. Like it's all like super high level with Ari. Which is great. Like I've gone into the weeds with some developers, never in WebGL. Like WebGL is just like instantly over my head. I'm starting to understand working with him what the limitations are with like preloading and um, like performance and how things render on the GPU. Like I like I, I should probably stop right there because anything more, I don't really have the greatest insight into. So I'm sorry if that's kind of an underwhelming answer. But yeah, so my whole thing is figuring out framework, animation sequencing, but beyond that, it's really kind of just sent over to him like this with like video walkthroughs explaining things, and sometimes I'll need to kind of like pick things up and move it and give him the extra context. But as long as he gets the high level, he just kind of fills it in. But we're one project in at this point, so we're still kind of learning how to work together. But so far, like that's kind of where we've been heading. Big market gap in design dev on Twitch. I only follow curiously minded there. You can be big quick. I hope so. That'd be fun. Or what's a big? Oh, design dev on Twitch. So that's the thing with Twitch is like, the only real category is art that I can go in. There's no design. There's no like anything more specific. And I like I hate to think of like I think there's a clear delineation between art and design, but maybe that's just kind of my I don't know. In my head, I worry about that too much. But right now, everything's under the art category. It seems like there's a good amount of people doing streaming there. So, what was I gonna do? I need to figure out this loading sequence. But yeah, it'd be nice to like see what happens with Twitch, and of course, would love feedback from everyone. I don't want to do like a bait and switch, like get everyone on YouTube and be like, "JK, get the fuck out of here." But I just think like the options there are, and like the tools available are a bit more powerful, better for community, better for me, basically better for everyone. That's where I'll leave it. My terrible way of explaining things. So one thing I do think that's missing is the preload or like the sequencing in for the stories. I was working on this last night, which I don't think this is where the preload. I don't think this would not need to be preloaded. This would be preloaded from initial state. It's these images that would need to be preloaded. Oh, and then getting into some of these weird. So one thing I was looking at yesterday was like all these lens diagrams, and what I was thinking about from the stream before was how this sort of, maybe I go to the symbol so I can modify, this sort of area, like you can basically drag this, so this will be like 2x in either direction, and then autoplay potentially, and then fast forward. I don't really know. Fast forward's starting to make less and less sense now that these have become previous to next arrows. But again, this will need to. I'll need to sort this out because the idea with the fast forward was that like, it was a full screen experience. I think I'd go out. It was like something like this, which. I don't know if that's the benefit. Like I want to have like a zoom in, so like if you want to look at the spreads in detail, you can click into it. But the initial thinking is, actually, you know what? This should be on preload because I was thinking it's basically a tooltip. So maybe I bring this in. Although no, I can't. So the rotation would keep that from working. Yeah, can't do it. And also, I may have another problem I just realized. So all these preloads are basically these directional arrows that you can click on. Those are those being rotated. And so, like this, And that's kind of the language for like next. So I probably need to just be consistent. And so these are all like nested symbols. So right now, if I can just kind of clean this up a little bit. These are always like the little details that sometimes like me, thinks about things too narrowly in terms of like, oh, the next button makes more sense as like a pure arrow. Wow, that's not even close to also doesn't look right. You know what? I'm just not gonna worry about it. Don't judge me. Is this problems? No. Problems here. Oh, I think I moved it to the wrong place. No. That's just looks a pixel right. No. I mean, it's definitively wrong. I just cheat it for now. Still doesn't look right. I don't know, weird. Test message from Twitch. Yeah, there you go. So it should work, and I do have the chat now. It uses my font, which is kind of nice, I guess. There's refinement that needs to be done there. So, bear with me. Yeah. So I think the flow is getting here. I think this needs to be smaller. So this should be panning. It's all vignette? No. I don't know why these are dimmed. It should definitely not be dimmed. There's no way that's and it is. Yeah. So I've been playing around with like a vignette as like something to drive focus, but it also helps like pull out some of the details. And if it's soft enough, it doesn't look too obvious, but I think there it's like making all of these look too dark. So I think that's just messing with the gradient. It's really the scale. Again, making it softer, but a little bit of separation from the interface in the background. So that's probably something I should also make a symbol of. Vignette symbol. But again, another way I can just systemize things. I think I locked it. Yeah, but I don't think the vignette shows up on something like this. It's all like the browsing. So it's good to like just stress test things like this as like a system. I know people love to rattle on about system design. I'm probably one of them. But like these are the realities of like when you start picking and choosing different values. Like this is gonna have to live. What? I don't know where all this stuff is. It's gonna have to live at the same value unless Ari's gonna want to kill me if I start doing custom values for everything. So what is happening here? Oh, these are cursors. And that's also something Ari brought up this morning was legibility. So I sent him a symbol of like the, which one? The zoom heads up. He's like, I love it, but send him this one. It's like, can you actually see it? And so yesterday, I don't know, some people were here. I was doing some stress testing. This is the one that is like super problematic for everything. So looking at ways of, where is it? Hover. Well, the cursors are, I don't want that. That's transition. All my naming's messed up. But like stuff like this, which also brings, so it brings legibility concerns, it brings concerns with just viewing the content purely. It's really obnoxious. So that is one of the other things I really want to focus on this morning is looking at, so I was thinking about like an auto hide. So whether it condenses down into something like this, like if you don't use it, if you don't navigate like basically that center area, then it just condenses down. Like you don't need the zoom information. Maybe there's a way to retain it somewhere, I don't know, but it just might be too much. So, so whether there's that, whether there's an option to like pin it to the left, I'm kind of against it because I like the idea of this being such like a peculiar, not peculiar, like a different navigation, I don't know, scheme, structure, framework, whatever you want to call it. So I'm determined to make this work in a way that's like not offensive. And right now, that example is, this is pretty offensive. So this is the auto hide right now. And one thing we were also talking about was like just slight mouse pan. So like if you move your cursor around, it just creates a little separation between the static UI and the background image. So that can kind of help your eyes sort of inform the edge. But yeah, this is old. I don't know where this is from. 16mm. So I updated that back button. Where is that? It's down here. All sorts of alts. This is like part of the process of like where I started. It started just with a zoom. It started with like a vertical zoom and like a straight line. Well, shit, like let's bend it around. And then that was the whole thing, trying to make that in Sketch, which, as you can tell, it's not the greatest. It's definitely kind of gross. So definitely don't do it in Sketch. Like Illustrator is the way to go. And I was playing around with the what's it called? It's the rotate copies, which was kind of cool. Because initially, to get these lines to work, I made an underlying grid, but I just did it hand by hand, and it was pretty obnoxious. But if you do that and you kind of change the center point, if you do so what was it? It was 10 per 80 degrees, or 90 degrees, 40, 39, so I have 40 total. And like some of the shapes you can make by just offsetting this. Kind of cool. And I like, this is all new to me in terms of like being able to do something like this. But yeah, having like radial lines, I've actually never seen that. Yeah, basically like that, so then you can create your grid lines off of that. So that was the whole thing yesterday. If you missed that, you're probably better for it because you just saved 30 minutes and learned the exact same thing. So, and I started doing the vignette and I lost it. It's not the symbol though. So I have, I think it's called, I can't remember what this plugin's called. It's not Runner. What is Runner? Yeah, so you can like, I have a quick shortcut, and so I can just start embedding all of these sorts of things from all my libraries. Really nice tool. Highly recommend it. I do a lot of like automation off of it. Make sure I've done multiple vignettes. That's always a possibility. And then once we get out of it into the details, I think it's gone. Let's see. Make sure. Just checking on real fast. See, I should delete all these because it's really messing up all my symbols. Like when I go to pull down and just choose different states, it's just like all these variations are getting confusing. Okay, I'm gonna be task oriented. Get this load in sequence first. So this is, oh, this should be dragging. Story/dragging. This centered. It should change to default. Question though, is this, so navigator, slideshow. So all these names, they're like wildly confusing. So it's not in the slideshow, it's panning. First, like look at all these first zooms. This is not wise. So what I need for this panning default, which I believe is this one, I need the plus. So this will be the way into the detail view. Yep. So this will be the way in. Click this. Does this have the? Yeah, this is like the additional sort of gradient, or like the additional stroke around the edge. Might be too much, but you can see like, so you click it, plus goes away, the edges rotate, and then they expand out into this tooltip. Yeah, looking at some of these gradient backgrounds, it just doesn't work on this at source. Go ahead and turn that off. It's like nav backing is what I'm calling it, but I think I just want to avoid that entirely. Doesn't seem like the best way to really handle it, especially with this and how it's getting into like solid background colors. It's just not, it's not there. So this would be the resolve state. It'll zoom out when you drag. Actually, I need to flip these real fast. And like right now, I know I'm kind of get into like just the noodling process where it's just like kind of doing circles a little bit, and I don't know if this is just like, I don't know if it's a bad thing just yet. Like, it's probably not the most entertaining, which I think is the problem, and that's where I'm just constantly figuring that out of like, I think there's something some people might find interesting about this being like start to finish, and seeing like part of the process is just like circling in on things, validating things, testing, breaking them, testing, breaking them, testing, breaking them, and it's, I don't know, maybe this is not doing me any favors. So maybe this is hitting a point of diminishing return where the kind of the ideation phase is done, and it's sort of like the validation phase is um, maybe not quite as interesting. So I think just kind of watching people like pop in, pop out on the stream so far, I think they're probably seeing this like, oh shit, he's on again about the website, and he's looking at like the navigator and messing with vignettes, and it's kind of like same shit, different day. So that's where it's like at this point, I have things I can do, but if there's other things that make more sense, someone else wants to see, I'm all for it. There's a long list of stuff. So, yeah, just feel free to knock this shit off. Don't need to see the details of this. Because I think there's enough of like, again, I was talking about it yesterday, like the art direction, my own brand, like there's really no art direction exploration. It's pretty well defined at this point. So the ideation phase is pretty much like the framework, which that's kind of like getting into these sort of details I think is fun and looking at all the different states, but now it's like stress testing on different images, like not the most exciting. And so maybe I just need to let go of the idea of this being entirely on stream. So I get it, don't worry. I'm not gonna try and bore people to tears. It's not good for streaming, I don't think. But I think like this whole system of symbols is making sense. I think this makes sense. The heads up, zoomed, it like switching, I think makes sense. I don't really think this is quite right. But again, I have so much time, like I'm like so far ahead of Ari right now, like he's I don't know if I could show it. He sent me some things he's working on in terms of like scaling. I guess he's in the weeds of that, and it's been kind of a pain in the ass. So, and yeah, he had talked about potentially streaming on Twitter, or like on Twitter he talked about potentially streaming. So maybe he wants to talk about that then, so I won't steal his thunder. But that is coming. So it's kind of wild. Like I don't know how this is gonna go. Just live streaming everything and being so open about like the process. One, putting designs out there before development's even starting. I think that's kind of always a scary prospect. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's a learning experience. Maybe it backfires. I don't know. Find out. Why am I masking? It's just not smart. So just thinking about like a possible load in. Like I don't know if it starts just like stacking and then organizes into a grid. That might be kind of weird. Why can't I even all lock? That's weird. To be honest though, John, just for a photography website, this is pretty overkill from Ari's POV at least, but the concept generated from this navigation is industry breaking. I don't know if I go that far to say industry breaking. Not sure what you mean by it's pretty overkill from Ari's POV in terms of like the interactions for it, or yeah, I'd be curious on how you mean that. It's definitely like I don't really need to make this. That's for sure. I think there's my site does a good enough job. Ari was actually kind of pushing to work on this one when the other collaboration fell through. We were even talking about it beforehand. He's like, "Oh, it'd be so fun to just like work on something like this." And I was kind of like apprehensive. I think in terms of like my hierarchy of needs, it's not the highest, but I think what is high on our list is like having something else to show of like how we're working together.
um, or like what we're capable of coming up with in terms of like what we can do, um, because we only have his folio at this point in terms of like what we're capable of. And I think that was all development focused, and I think it'll be interesting to see like as the pendulum kind of swings over towards like this being more creative focused, and because everything we did was in the service of performance. Like that site was itself supposed to be a case study to his development, but this will be okay. We're going to the other side. Like this is more about more media rich experiences, and the actual experience itself is what like if this is going to be a reflection of me and what I do as an art director, um, it's definitely going to try and push things a little bit, probably be overkill. like I'm definitely not disagreeing like at all. I'm right there with you. um, I just want to make sure I understand the same like the context, and like I I love critical feedback. I love like I don't want. I'm not a yes person. I don't really like just going with the flow and just doing whatever because like that's what feels good. I'd love hearing feedback from people about like nah like kind of weird like why are you doing that? I'd be happy to talk about it. So don't feel like me asking for clarifications like how dare you? Nah, love it. Because this is free like user feedback for me if I'm being honest. I bet this is a pain in the ass for Ari to make. Yeah, yeah. I think the implementation of it. Um, I mean, there's definitely some good photo sites out there that use WebGL. Um, but yeah, this could be achieved with a lot less effort. that's that's for damn sure. Um, Art can handle it. Art would be like, "What is this basic stuff? Make it complex." I, you know, I sent him when I sent him the first like bits of like this sort of like centerline concept. Like, I think he lit up because it was like this is something different because he likes doing very simple things that are like out of the ordinary, and I'm kind of the same way. Um, I rarely have the capability to actually execute them. It's kind of like these like wacky framework ideas, and um, either I'm working with people who are capable of it, but at the same, so I'm either not working with like a team who has the ability to do it, or I'm working with someone who can do it, but that's not what we're being asked to do. A lot of the things, it's like working at Apple and their interactive team. Like they have some of the craziest developers too, and they're fully capable of pulling stuff like this off. But you're not gonna find that stuff getting signed off on. Um, like it's just not gonna happen. And I think it's for good reason. Like you can't have like these just wild like out there sort of experiences on a brand like Apple. It's just can't do it. So that's where like this is kind of like an opportunity to have someone like that and create a project that makes the most sense, or it doesn't make the most sense. But, I mean, it literally doesn't make the most sense to do, but because we can, we're gonna do it. That's the short of it. But I fully agree. Overly complex, but fun. I love this kind of shit. I think I just need a quick resolve state. Just for my OCD. Ari doesn't need it. He understands this. So the idea is like this is just the tooltip. It's not a yeah, it's not a permanent thing. I think this amount of UI over the top is just excessive. And sorry if I'm being kind of spastic right now. Like I'm just like dragging things out. I don't know if the stacking's the right way. I think there's a better way to do it. But I'm also in the back of my mind coming back to like this auto hide and whether this is enough or if there's additional actions that we can take. Where'd it go? I delete it? No, I put it here. Yeah, so this thing, like pinning it to the left. So this would be like your actions. I don't know if I want to call it as much, but I should. I mean, it's probably overkill. I want to just try this. So typing on a path in Sketch is almost comically bad. Actions. There we go. Ship it. So let's see how type path. I use help so much. Text. Where is it? Text on path. There we go. Oh, so this is. Yeah, it's like depending on where the circle is, where your text. It's like somehow the text being here, like, yeah, of course, that's. Where else would you want it? I want it on the outside. Right. Is there. I go x-axis. I would love someone at Sketch to explain what the fuck they were thinking with this. Like, how is this the logical system you come up with? Wait. Is there? No, there's not even like an origin. This is where, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. Because you can see like how bad that type is. I just tried to do it like snapping to pixels and it was just not feeling it. I mean, Illustrator's also been kind of weird, like how you do like the inside and outside, but at least you have the option. It takes a little finagling to get right. Yeah, man, it's so innovative, pushing thyself harder. I don't know if I ever used thyself, but maybe I need to bring that back. Creating an absolute masterpiece in the end. Again, thank you. I don't know if I'd call it a masterpiece. We got to see if it even works or if anybody else understands it outside of me. And I think I won't be there to like talk people through what I'm thinking. But yeah, I think that's it's fun, but also scary. Is just like doing something unconventional, in terms of like just like how this works and its placement. Like I was talking about yesterday, like I haven't seen a lot of center aligned stuff, and then you start realizing pretty quickly, kind of why no one else is doing it. I think you have to just consider a lot of things in terms of like minimizing. Whether there's additional actions you can take to pin it to different places. I don't know. Why is Sketch so laggy today? Excellent question. I was I was complaining about that yesterday. I don't know what it is. It was just like nudging things, and it was taking about 2-3 seconds. And my understanding is that Sketch tends to the chug when you have a lot of like nested symbols, large canvases, but that was kind of why I updated from. So I had Sketch 64 74. Now I'm on 72.4, and apparently they made a lot of performance improvements, but I don't know if I feel it sometimes. Like, it's just wild. Like, I don't like some of these applications like Lightroom, Sketch, like for what they're doing compared to what like DaVinci Resolve's doing. Like it's doing real-time image stabilization with color grading on top of it to 4K video, and this thing just it barely drops a frame. But I can't nudge a text layer without it chugging. Like it's it's really strange. I wish I understood it. Can I do this? Okay. So yeah, sorry if it's laggy. I don't know what to do about that. That's the whole thing. Oh, it's a combined sheet. Oh, oh. Cool. I just need this for size reference. I guess you can edit it. Sorry, I haven't used this in a long time. Why is this being... Okay. Actions. Everything. And then pulling up fonts is another thing. Always really laggy. Well, that's not bad. I think bold is what I want. So, oh yeah, I have to do like the type on path tool. Sorry, I haven't done this in a long time. Click the non-compound. Non-compound. How big is this? Sorry, painful. 306. What is... That's so strange. That's weird. I'm doing like all like the shortcuts I know, and it's all wrong. Because I haven't used this for a good while. What was it? 64. Type on a path. So there must have been something weird about how it imported the circle from what's it called? Sketch. I don't know what it imported it as, but it didn't like it. So what I should also do. This is 100%. I don't have any of my panels updated either. You can't do opacities by numbers? Really? $50, lock it. But you're supposed to be in here. Okay, never mind, just lock that. My center point there. Why? Is it? Maybe I shouldn't do this on stream. I haven't touched this. Like, why is it? There's no extra type. That's it. Main. just to get. Okay, there we go. We figured it out. Is this the right? Oh shit. Oh god, look at that type. So for some reason the notifications, like the style just fully resets every time. I don't know what it is. That's pretty good. So I also had like a pack installed and then I deleted it. See, there's now 2 different styles. The type's all huge. Yeah, my childish notifications. Maybe I should make that a priority. So once I get ahead of this, I did start with some like rough ideas. Maybe I should show those. Just as the fact that like that. Wait, Vanna White. Yep, over there. Like that shit's not right. So looking at just like doing different type treatments for like donations, wanting to get into like weird kinetic type for it. But again, not knowing exactly how it's done. But yeah, this is more where I'm thinking. I don't know if it's actually going to work or where it'll end up. But big green, what's it, open sands or something? Like that's not quite on brand for old John. So how's this gonna work? Is it gonna work? Huh, yeah, it'll be off white. This. This is where I should probably just do. And this is probably getting too complex. Like that's kind of my initial thinking right now. Like maybe it's another tooltip in the same way that like this shows up as a tooltip. That is the case. You think pulling it down strength helps. I don't know. It's getting too complex. Is kind of what I'm thinking. This is not immediately recognizable. I think having a hover over this helps. So this is all hover states combined. But I think the simplicity of having the close, since that's the primary action, it helps. I'm torn. Because the other option was share that I was talking about, but I don't think people really. Does anyone use share anymore? Like, when's the last time you did share? I think, personally, like copy to clipboard is more valuable. Especially with the WebGL, I don't know if we're gonna have unique URLs for all this content. I should probably ask Ari about that. Because ideally, like, I can have like links to every image. Yeah, got to find out about that. Because if I can do like a copy to clipboard, I think that's useful. But that's something that might need to live like further off the edge. Like somewhere down in this meta, I don't know. I also think this needs to be minimized. And I don't know if the minimize is too minimized. Maybe it's just branding plus this. Framework definitely needs a little bit more thinking. But again, priority right now is it's on getting this sort of stuff ironed out. And legibility is one, auto hide's one, what these functions are is part of that. What I put in the top navigation, that's kind of, that can be refined later.
Sorry if this is a bit off topic. This is a bit off the current topic, but how do you select fonts for your project? I get that you have a particular style in mind for a project and shortlist based on that, but what's your font?
So in general, like, definitely don't feel shy about keeping things on topic. Like, I try and have a purpose for these sessions, but I'll fire up anything, like whatever anyone wants to talk about. I think there's going to be times like I'm going to work off stream a lot, and I'm going to have like very like specific tasks. But for this, it's like, yeah, I'd like to focus on this, chip away at it. But like if we go off in all sorts of directions, yeah, no worries. But to answer your question, for fonts, I think I might have this. I think I talked about this at one point. I have two of those. Okay. So you can see. I mean, I pulled up the other one last time. So this is a project called Hello World. I was doing with Olaf Blomera. I can never pronounce his last name. Olaf Blomeros. Blomeros. Yeah. Fuck. I didn't learn how to pronounce his name properly. No, don't update layers. So, yeah, I'll just kind of do a high level. Yeah, see, this is the problem, like, where I talk about this stuff, but it's just buried in another stream somewhere. And, like, what am I going to do? Just be like, just go check all the streams. Like, that doesn't really work. So this is where, like, the clips thing gets coming. I do think the notification things is probably higher priority. It could be a fun stream to do. But, yeah, so I basically, like, I have a deep font selection. I've spent a lot of time kind of organizing it and like adding fonts, removing fonts, curating it so like everything in there is at least serving some sort of purpose. There's some that aren't. There's some that keep popping up, like all these like sticks fonts. Just try and like Noto Sans. Which reminds me, I want to go back in and do that. So I'll go and disable a lot of fonts, like as many as I can. There's some system fonts that you can't do, and on my old laptop, I'd actually go in and delete like some of those system fonts that they tell you not to mess with. Because there's a website that'll tell you like, based on the operating system, what your like minimum requirements are. Because they went through and tested it and found out that like, yeah, you can't really delete sticks or whatever it is. And Noto Sans, all fonts. Oh, like I wouldn't mind it. Oh, so you can't even duplicates of it. You can't even disable it. And this is where I'm tempted to start like I don't know what language that is, but like for me going through my list of fonts and having, and sometimes these take a long time to render, sometimes it breaks all the characters and then you lose your spot in the fonts because none of the characters work, so it tries to substitute in something that works, and I think it does it alphabetically, so then I just get pissed because I'm losing my spot. So if my system breaks, you understand why. Can't even delete these. I don't want these fonts. guess I'm stuck with them. I used to be able to delete them. I think there's a way to find them, and I don't know. This is the problem, like with every incremental update, um, just build in all these like guardrails for people not to fuck things up. But like, why can't I just disable this font? I don't know. Not to complain again. Let me make sure I'm answering the exact question about the fonts. So, do I have a particular style in mind? Yeah, typically. It also starts with, like I do a lot of Pinterest type stuff. So, like for different projects, like working on Ari's website, I kind of had a vibe in mind. I know the stuff he did. So, at a high level in my head, I can kind of picture what his vibe is, and then that helps me narrow down. But I don't know, sometimes like just going through the list, like some I can power through really quickly, some where it's like maybe one thing about it seems kind of nice. And then if you want to start getting into, I mean, it depends what it's for. Like this was for like a logo, so it's very specific to how that comes together. But I think I talked about it last time too. Like I'll just go ahead and, wow, why is this? Oh, so this is where it's trying to use Noto Sans, but it defaults to, I think, Lucida. That's got this, it's so strange. But I'll do like body copy, run that, and kind of see what that's looking like. So whatever I'm trying to, like whatever use case I'm looking for, so if I'm looking for a body font, it's really like kind of nominal gains, it's more like the headlines that I focus on. So, and it's hard to describe why I gravitate towards some versus the others. I think there's just like nuanced characteristics in each font. I tend to like the fonts that aren't just like super ornate. I think a lot of people go too crazy about making a font like this. This to me, like I think there's interesting bits to it, but just everything is just weird. In general, like I think actually how it says "Hello World" isn't all that bad, but it's just it's kind of like a regular serif, but some of like the way the caps works and I don't know. Some are just too over the top that I just can't get on board with. So it's kind of finding the right balance too, if that helps. Yeah. So that's kind of what the selection process looks like. It's sometimes it's like a very direct thing, where it's like I know exactly the font that would be good for this, and I'll go straight to it. But most of the time, this is kind of like I'm surprised there's not more examples of this showing up. Pretty much every project. This one. Maybe it's dash on some. Ooh, I don't know if I can show this. Yeah, I mean, you can see. I don't know what this was. I'm kind of scared to open it. Give me a second. I don't want to get in trouble. I know some of this EA stuff was really jammed up with NDAs. Yeah, there's enough info to probably shouldn't show it. But yeah, hopefully that helps. And again, like the way I answer these questions sometimes, like I don't always have the most like clear line of thinking. So feel free to kind of ask follow-ups or clarifications, or ask me to start again because that shit didn't work. That's always a possibility. You can link stuff even if it's WebGL completely. Sweet. Yeah. And I think I remember that, like with the way his Ari's portfolio site is, when you change pages, you get unique URLs. So I'll just have to get that sorted out. Fonts in use is the biggest source. Yeah, fonts in use, and then Typewolf was the other one. Can't remember. I feel like like there's another one. Oh, if you don't know Artist Sport, this is like one of my favorite. I don't know if they're still updating it or not. So much rad like sports affiliated design. It doesn't seem like it's been updated. Yeah, there's so much good like art direction content from like Nike. I'm kind of a Nike fanboy, so I'm not gonna say Adidas, but yeah. I think blogs. I love typography. I don't remember this. I mean, it's still active. I think there might have been something about like the actual process of making fonts. These fonts all suck. Sorry. I don't know what. Clearly, I'm not here for the curation. Oh, this is sponsored. Okay. I don't know why I have this bookmarked. This is really kind of odd. Sorry. I have like random blogs. I need to organize this better. Inspiration pixels. I don't. I'm kind of curious what all these are. Domo A. I don't remember this at all. Some of these bookmarks have been here from like 2015 or something. So, I don't know where that came from. Yep. Thanks for the answer. Love to get insights from you all. Yeah, of course. Yeah, there's a lot of like people come through, got some great experience as well. So, you know what? That reminds me. Let me back out for a second. Sorry. We put like a. Never mind. Just ignore me. But there's a Discord. It's been pretty quiet. I haven't really had a chance to like flush out the channels and get everything situated. But now the link is permanent. So before the what's it called? The link that I would send out was something that would expire after. What was it? It was like a week. And I didn't realize that there was a way you could control the settings of like, hey, make it so it doesn't just expire immediately. So, yeah, that should be better now. So, and I need to have better areas of, even with some of these like interstitial screens, and I need to create ways of plugging it. So that's something in the overlay is like creating promos for the Discord channel instead of me having to type it out. What sucks is like it can't get a vanity URL, so it's not the easiest to remember, but it should stay the same as that. And I think it's become like an affiliate in order to get vanity URLs, which I get. I'm also not paying for Nitro yet, so I don't know what the limitations are. All right. So we're moving, I think. Auto hide. That's what I want. So this is not correct. This is old. Auto hide. Huh? Oh, this is reloaded. So I have this is my name conventions. Spoon. Preload. Oh, sorry.
I'm not showing the screen. Good. You didn't miss anything, sadly. Award has 2 font collections that are pretty good to quick select or to make your favorite collection. Yeah, Awards definitely has some good resources in terms of like fonts for one. If you're looking at just different like interactive elements, they have galleries of different components like slideshows, expanded navigations, hover states, list views, stuff like that. I didn't know they had type, but I'm not terribly surprised. 35mm hover. Sorry, I just want to make sure I get these right. And zoom auto hide. 1. So these are almost like sequences, like just showing how it kind of condenses down, like the. I don't know. Does that come through? I think it might. Birdman. Showing how this auxiliary sort of zoom function drops off and then it consolidates down into this sort of state. Which the plus might seem a little strange. That's where I had some issue yesterday. But it's more like creating an area within here. So if you don't hover over this, it consolidates down. But the idea is like you hover over any of this, the plus goes away. So there's no way to like click on the plus or be confused because you hover over that and it goes back to this. Well, not that. So there's so much shit going on. This. God, that's just so much interface. It's not good. Did it help? That's just weird to pin it. Top. It like has to be in the middle. And this is like, I don't know. This is the most problematic image because it's light and it's very like singular focus in the middle. I think something like this, it holds up. I think most of their images I've stress tested. Like, I do a lot of dark images, so this suits me, but like even here, like this isn't. That's not going to cut it. So that's exclusion blend mode. That's normal. This is when I was looking at some of these additional like borders, which I don't. That's this guy. I think for now, actions. Kind of long names, but I need the clarity of. You know, wow, really having a hard time with all this stuff. So I made a copy. I probably should have made a copy first. So I'm gonna get rid of this sort of pinning. The pinning doesn't seem right. I don't even know if like. I like the idea of like a share, but it just doesn't seem like the right place. Like you're trying to navigate content, not think about how you're going to send it anywhere else. And again, for something that's not used that much, to have it such like a center focus, like this needs to be like just the bare minimum. That. Again, come back to here. Task. Split. Wow, it's not having a good time. Center. Alright. So it's like, is something like this going to be too heavy-handed right now?
50% opacity. If I do 20, this might not be the best way to do it all baked into one. It might be easiest to kind of replicate for Ari. But I mean, we might want to break it out so we can do more control of like individual blend modes, different elements. See this, it just feels heavy. So, let's see. Nope, nope, nope. Oh, it's so slow. Just got two. So at least I've got this style here. But I think what I'm going to do is just start with this plane shape, this top, so this stops fucking around with me. So I have this, it's set to center, let's do inside, let's do center. Copy, paste to the bottom, or move it underneath. And look at the one option is to do like a blur. 5 pixels outside. Okay, better than the other option. And this is where like just get into these trade-offs. Like what is acceptable and what's not. So it has like the full backing too. If I get rid of that, I would love to get rid of that backing. I don't want that. But at the same time, that doesn't look great. Backing. Yes, I can't type. That's not terrible. If it's diffused enough, it seems like it kind of, it softens the blow, palatable amount. So maybe if is it 50? Blur 10 pixels. Oh. So again, it's definitely helping. Is it gonna help in every use case? I don't know. This, like, to say I'm worried about that is an understatement. Maybe I just, if I want to keep it clean, I'm just gonna have to commit to just like, this is dark images only. It's all my framework can accommodate, but that's not realistic. And actually the zoom is probably the most definitive problem I'm gonna have. So then testing the zoom, because then this is also going to be an issue. So I'm going to want the same sort of, ideally have the same system of like how I'm getting things to separate from the image. And that's not bad. Like I want to see if I have anything. Lex. Anything that could be potentially worse than this one. I mean, that's pretty bad. I hate the edit, but it's a good test. Chugging. Not thugging. So again, I think I did this on one of the first streams. Sketch tries to save the full res, and I don't need the full res, so I will just go ahead and merge. I'll create a shape behind it, flatten selection to bitmap, and then it forgets all about the high res and just whatever size is being used. I found it saves on file size a good bit. So now, locked. I think it's locked. It was locked. Go to 10. Bill Nash just. Now what's fun is I can actually read the notifications from here. Bill Nash, thanks for the follow, man. Appreciate it. Don't worry, the notifications won't be that gross for a while, or for much longer rather. Vignette is here. That needs to go. Can't vignette full res. But I mean, this is maybe as bad as it's gonna get. Bill Nash. Welcome to Twitch. Thank you, man. Yeah, I was mentioning earlier, I think Twitch might be the way forward for live streams. So, and then have like clips and specific YouTube videos on YouTube. I think there's a lot of value to YouTube, but live, it's I think it's all about Twitch. I have that to test. And what? I mean, this is pretty bad too. But I probably could have avoided adding another image because this is already kind of chugging. But so what also helps is if I kind of see what I'm doing and like how light. Go. You can see like it's definitively helping that. I don't know if this is actually ooh. It's just chugging on that. What's the backing? What does that look like? Oh, so it's not even there. That's not good. Buddy. This. Dark. But I think because I did 10 pixels and it's that small of like a blur, I think what I should really do is do shadow. Like doing blurs. Because then I can do it on the same shape. Maybe that's what I need to do for the other one too. Shadow, 0 separation. Although, why is it? Borders. It's off white. Go. Sorry, I'm just being a little dense. Part of the stream. This is 10. So again, trying to soften it, but don't want to have this like cloudy looking interface. Let's see, copy. I can copy the style. Left metal, lock that. This. Yeah. Uh-oh. No border. Oh. There we go. You can see, like, I hate to do this to Ari, but, like, I think we're gonna have to be pretty calculated about, like, each of these being unique, which he typically doesn't really have an issue with. Let's get rid of this. Paste. Those are all using the same style, which is good. But again, gotta go back, do a little stress testing. Works. The thing is, like, I wish I could do, and this is kind of what I was thinking of why it's better to separate, is doing blend modes on the shadows. Because then I can inherit more of the color underneath, so I can pick up like the tonality. That makes it feel a lot less pasted on. It's like I don't want to make a duplicate. It's one of those things that's like it's a lot of work and I just have to commit to doing it. And I'm just hesitant. Why? If I try it here. So I will do these guys. Oh, so this has the backing. I don't want that anymore. So these, let's group. So many gross folders. Like, again, I've been trying to move quick and kind of like iterate a lot. Apparently this was rotated. No. So now there's nothing on this. Copy, paste. Paste it within. Copy, paste. So all of these, if I get rid of border, add shadows, 0, 5, 5. Really not right. 2. Why is it being so weird? Block that. Oh, I don't know what that's about. Got no fill. Maybe because the... Oh, so if you don't specify a border... let's see. Yes, these need to have borders again. Otherwise, it's doing a drop shadow on nothing. I get it. 5, 5. But let's put a blend mode on this folder to... This offline's probably not enough. So just as a test, this is on the hover. It looks exactly the same. Definitely not hard light. Almost not bad. It does look a little heavy, but it doesn't seem like there's a reasonable return on like having it its own separate layer. It's just like let's just be careful with the shadows applied to this so it doesn't look too heavy. I don't know. I really hate when interfaces look like that. Like you can just see that there's this pasted thing for legibility. It's always for a reason, but yeah. I want this to feel refined, but also usable. It's kind of. Spam call may have messed up my audio. No, should be good. So blur 7, spread, blur down. Now we're getting these edges. So maybe it's an opacity thing at this point. Back down to 10. Again, like I'm really just trying to guard against worst case scenario. With this normal blend mode, 35mm. So again, like you can kind of see it, but helps. It still looks muddy. And this is where I might go back to Ari and say like, hey, like, you know what are our options here? What can we do in terms of like making it avoid feeling pasted on? But also like usability is super important. Like these are easy. This should be, this is not easy. I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. This might be stupid. I didn't follow the previous stream, but how about using difference or exclusion blend mode? Yes, that's perfect timing. Just looking at that, exclusion was one thing. It seemed to work pretty well in most instances. Some of these, it got a little dicey. So it starts like blending in a little too much. There is the contrast from what's underneath it, but with like a busy image, it kind of becomes a little lost. And what we were also talking about in the last stream is like how what was it? How we can potentially like compute the average value of the image underneath, and depending on what that is, serve up like a light or a dark version. I don't know, or like. That's more work for Ari. For me, it would be like, let's have a default one, or I can override it based on the image. But for 400 images, do I really want to be going in and overriding like custom values for like each image? And plus then you have like something that's, it looks the same almost at all times except for a couple instances. So one of those things, like I love continuity, and this is where some of the hard realities are just kind of unfortunate. And even looking at like the inactive ones, I think on a solid black background, I think that's the right value. I don't think it is right now. So 35 when that's active. So all these. Really? Are we just gonna? Okay. So right now they're at 30. 50 might be even better. Maybe set these to exclusion. Kind of weird. But again, like it's not working on a crowded image. Plus, I don't know how it computes blend modes with symbols. It seems like it does pretty well. But again, some of those we might just need the same sort of thing. It's like a shadow. This hurts my heart to do, but I really don't know a way around it. And this is like, again, like first pass. Seeing it in code, we'll do another sort of look at, all right, is this even working right now? Or like, what are some of the options Ari can bring to the table, because he's super good with this kind of stuff. can see it's definitely starting to help a lot. Just that like 10% backing of the shadow. But for this, the test is like a flat background, and it's fuck. That looks awful. Back to it. I just think it needs more. Is it less spread? Bigger blur, like, this is where I just say fuck it, just go big. That feels better. 13.1. Yeah, so this is like the softest. I think this is better. That's so much better. Okay. I can live with that. $13 because it's my lucky number. Why the hell not? I do so much dumb stuff like that. Like, in terms of like, I have even numbers, I'll just do something's close to 420. Like, you know, why fight it? It's meant to be. Oh, that's why I put it there. All these require backing. I don't know if 13.1 is going to work with this type. Oh, you can't do spread. That's why. Yeah, I think the key is just like softness. I'm just trying to get it to show up. This is really happening. My computer's having a hard time with all this. And you can see it. You can see it on here. Yeah. That's not gonna work for the type. I think I'll mess with this later. I think I'm probably gonna bore you guys to tears if I keep trying and things. Especially with how like non-performant this is. That's the right word. But no, like legibility is a big concern here. This is actually on exclusion, which I think is helping. But again, it's just for this very specific image. In that very specific place. Like here, it's totally fine. Images with big skies, it's going to be a problem. So I'll iron through that and spare you. Otherwise, that's good. I think the minimized state is all right. This is all good. Have enough room for the rotation. This is not good. Get rid of that for now. Yeah, what is there a good icon for like reveal? Like reveal or expand. So I use Noun Project a lot. Just for like kind of ideas of what the common perception is of all these things, like how are people thinking about like expand or drag, or like I don't typically look at it to get a 1-to-1. Oh, maybe this is better. Expand. Oh shit! See, that could be. maybe I did this the wrong way. Oh, so it says that back. What? Is this outside? I don't know what's going on. Ew. Gross. I think this is a problem. Something's on the half pixel. These are all just weird. I was complaining about this so much yesterday. I am not going to do it today, I promise. I think it's just the size. I have controls, center. Oh. So I don't know if be having these. Almost doesn't look like expand just because it's so condensed. It's except, you know, aligned properly and not all janky. Why is that? What is going on? Sketch. Gotta love it. Yeah, I'd argue that doesn't look like these need to be shorter. 6. So the arrows can scale down, I'm fine with that. It's just this not being its own world, I don't know. Yeah, this is snapping to pixels just fucking with me right now. Of course I'll do this correctly in Illustrator, but again, proof of concept for me to then go refine in the proper application. So, ideally it wouldn't change stroke width. It would just be a seamless kind of just like, but maybe it needs that. It needs to scale thickness and size. So it's kind of this proportional scale down. God, that looks so bad at this size, but I think it's, alright. In terms of like an alternative, I think this makes more sense. This is like, no, this doesn't make sense. That's what I mean. Because I have plus as like a zoom in and conflating the plus in terms of like what it means. Like universally, plus needs to mean like diving in. The second I refer to plus as like expanding out, it's like we're bringing something back or revealing something. I think I've lost the meaning. And I was looking at the caption. I was looking at a couple different options yesterday, and like what, I don't know what the actual one is, but that, like knowing this is kind of like the language, and I want to have a lot of things that are all going to be like hiding, revealing at all times. Ideally, it's like smart and we don't have to like force it. But yeah, it's, I don't know. I think it's a necessary evil to have this. So yeah, don't judge my my god awful pen lines in here. You know what? I think I'm gonna just go for this approach, but work on refinement. I'll do off-stream refinement. Sorry, I'm getting blown up right now. What's going on? Sorry. Mom's texting me. Yeah. Home trees. Yeah. Again, usually like when I start committing to different paths, I'll just save out a different version of the file. But right now there's not enough for like a whole separate file. But this is really messing with like the instances of symbols. But what I could do, let's see. I'll lose all that. Sorry. Select all these. Open plugin. So navigator exploration. Oh, there's a way to. Oh, whatever. Something clearly is broken with this plugin. But now I just have them. I have them here, but I don't have them messing things up. So there's a plugin called Rename It, I think, and I have it mapped to my Stream Deck. So for this, right now, I have it living within. So this is my sketch layout for right now. I have all these top level folders, but I have this like rename, and so I can just open the plugin. I can amend like dimensions. So if I have this, and I'll push this add dimensions button, it should go ahead and add dimensions to the end of the file name. Yeah. So all these little things are super helpful. I don't really know a good use case of when that's helpful. It might be, and I think the syntax needs to change, because I think what helps is like if you're looking at exporting and you want to, like let's say, what is camel case? Oh, it's like, I don't know. Oh, so you have multiple words, it condenses it into one. And that helps with file names. Or I can do title case. Let's do uppercase. Kind of useless, but kind of helpful. I don't know. I think amending some of the dimensions, you can amend all sorts of things. And you can do dynamically. So if it does it in order, so like let's say you have a bunch of different alts, you can do it like top down, left to right. It'll rename it by numbers. So that is pretty useful. So if you have a bunch of explorations, but you just kind of like kept adding and you want to just export them quickly, you can just amend a number so then it exports all to the same folder but numbered correctly. This is camel case. Yeah. I mean, I guess I've been on a different planet when it comes to that kind of stuff. I don't know why I've never known about it. Out arrows. Yeah, there's camel case right there. But I was like, I don't know what you call it, but it's like the stupid like the really stupid like yeah, I'm not even gonna do it. Is that like the uneducated camel case? I don't know. It's like dad jokes and shit, just like I have to fight it. It's something that just comes out of me, and you know, I apologize. I think so. So I can see the view count now. And I think someone just popped off. They heard one too many dad jokes and they're just like, fuck this. I've had enough. It's alright. It's a package deal though. You know? You don't like dad jokes? Your loss? I don't know. I don't know. There's a lot of things, like, this stream, like, I definitely hope to get better. I'm saying all the time. I say like all the time. I'm not screen sharing the right stuff. I'm muted. I'm, like, it's a package deal. Like, maybe there's some stuff I can be helpful with, but I can't just give it away and make it easy. Like, throw some fucking dad jokes in there. Stupid humor or like backwards riddles. Like, there might be like, I feel like someone needs to be in the chat just like typing like a translation. I don't know. Maybe get my girlfriend or something who understands like what I'm trying to say somehow. She's insane. How she pieces it together and she puts up with all my shit. Pretty amazing. Don't know if that's how she wants to spend her time though. But you never know unless you ask. That's the thing. The one thing I don't have set is alpha mask. Oh, it's because I haven't added a mask yet. That's group. Don't bring yourself down like that? What? Is dad jokes like, am I shit talking myself by saying that? I mean, they're definitely not for everyone. That is for fucking sure. I don't hold it against people. Why can't I do an alpha mask like this? It's not everyone's kind of thing. Like, I fully appreciate that. I'm kind of proud of my dad jokes, you know? Like, straight off the popsicle stick or whatever they used to have. That's my kind of humor. Why? Oh, wow. If this is an alpha... Oh, did I not do it yet? Sorry. This is where it's just also going to be a lot of times with me struggling with very obvious things. Like, why isn't this alpha mask working? What the hell? Oh, it's because I didn't do it. Yeah. So this is just kind of like an animation in sequence, showing how like it'll fade in and rotate. It's a little extra stuff. I want to put some music on. What's funny is like, when I did the multi-stream where I got copyright flagged on YouTube, like, Twitch didn't say anything. I don't know. Maybe do a little testing. Maybe see what happens if I just get one strike on Twitch. Or it's like worth finding out. Like, maybe I can get away with something. I might get a strike. Maybe not. I don't know. This music would be so much better. And like, that's part of why, like, you're new to the stream and why I hear the rain. Like, I put that in all the time when I'm working. I guess that's what old people do, is they love the sound of rain. So I have that going. But the idea was also like, maybe I could play a little music and not get DMCA'd. Some people have done it, but they were like, they were doing DJ set live streams, and they're like, yeah, you can add some like crowd noise over it, but who wants to hear that? But if I put it on quietly in the background and add some like rain and thunder over the top of it, it's really just how the algorithm picks it up. It's like, I don't know, something similar to Shazam, whatever the hell it is. What am I doing? Sorry. That's not the question I should be asking out loud. I also say the quiet stuff out loud. So I need to figure out the load-in sequence. I'll do that off off stream. The initial loading, both these loading sequences, either off stream or a different stream. It's just I don't need to do that. That's not the best use of my time. I think looking at the legibility was important. It's gone here. But yeah, I'm gonna have to figure that out. This switching to this is pan. This is zoomed auto hide. Oh, out arrows. So again, designs all funky, so I'll create that in Illustrator properly. But I think looking at it, it does feel a little heavy. So lowering the opacity again is already a dangerous prospect. It's just the outer circle. Yeah, that helps. The only thing I don't know is if you drag when it's hid, what happens? Maybe it just doesn't move. No, yeah, I think it would auto expand. I think that's an important note. Drag while auto hid equals deactivate navigator. So I tend to just make some of these small notes in the margins just so I don't forget. Because then Ari might come back a little bit and just be like, hey, what happens if we do this? I'll go to the screen and just be like, oh yeah, thought about that. Still unsure about the stream time, man. I think because your streams are usually 4+ hours, it's midnight East. Yeah. Yeah, I'm doing some testing in terms of like when makes the most sense. I think it's kind of all over because yeah, if I like the later I push it, the worse it is for like people in the East, Europe. I think like right now it's late in Europe. I don't know, people are gonna potentially be up. I push afternoon, like I'm already looking pretty late, and the East is even worse, so this is like middle of the night. I'm gonna do research on like what the best time is, because yeah, I'm West Coast, so I'm in LA or around LA, so it's for me like morning times. I usually just get a cup of coffee and just start jamming. I'm not used to like having to conduct myself in a cohesive manner. It's more like just get up and kind of work on all sorts of random things. I haven't done a lot of morning streams here. I've gotten feedback that afternoon times on West Coast. So if I do like 3 p.m. like East Coast, that works for some people on the East Coast because it's like after they get off work. Some people like to listen then, but love hearing the feedback from everyone in terms of like what the best time is. Also curious to like if anyone actually watches the VODs. They seem like they're getting some views. I do check in on the content just kind of see like if views are doing okay, if ratings are okay, if there's any comments, stuff like that. I'm not the best at checking, but any sort of feedback there would be super helpful. Because I'm flying blind. Like, this is something I'm kind of taking some educated guesses. Is it perfect? Probably not. But yeah, would love to understand kind of what is making the most sense for everyone. Because yeah, the most people I can accommodate, better. This is backwards. Right now, preload's gonna happen before you get into the image. So this is something I think I was touching on earlier. Going back and forth in terms of where the preload happens, it may switch. We may find out through testing that like you want to be able to click in and see an image this size without any sort of preload. One thing he was talking about is like something with a drag, like there's a glide associated with it. So when you when you like drag and move, whenever you let go, it's going to keep moving and trying to ease to the stop. The problem is if someone, okay, this is Ari for you. He's thinking about the use case of someone's dragging, let go, and then clicks on a moving target. What happens then? I would say that's kind of an edge case, but it's one, depending on the glide, like that's something we're just gonna have to see what the like how much glide we end up having. It's because if we have a lot of glide, and like yeah, that's a pretty pronounced use case. One workaround we were talking about this morning was, I came up with the suggestion, so, and he said it was okay. I don't know how crazy he is about it or whether it's going to work all that well, but because when you preload, it fully locks everything, and like animations just kind of go to shit. So whether we start the preload as it's the animation starts, but it's not actually preloading until everything comes to like a resolved state. Then the actual preloading happens, and then that's when we get into an image this size. And like the nuances of the transition, like that's going to be fully dependent on what he's got to say. There's other transitions that really aren't. I think like how this sort of staggering or loading of images, that is pretty independent because we're going to preload up front of this. So we'll probably have like a preload state that I think is going to be somewhere along here. I don't really know. This was like looking at categories as a potential landing. Categories, I don't know if that's going to come back or not. I'm struggling to understand the value of the categories if we can have a pretty robust grid. It might allow for like deeper catalogs of images, where let's say if we need to preload images at this size because we don't want a preloader, like the preloader doesn't feel good every time you click in, then we might be restricted to 80 images. I think he said 100 is what he had done on a different project. I don't know, like, exact project doesn't matter, but he's done testing on it, and that's his guess. But again, I actually owe him more images today. He's just going to do some testing to see kind of where it is. So that might greatly impact things in terms of how you experience it. So TBD. Why is this preloading? It should be auto high. Wait, what? I don't need this then. Let's do auto high. Yeah, this makes me sad looking at. Better bring that back. I can get rid of this. Let's this node up here. It's gone. You do U time wise. Good day. Can't wait for collab stream with Ari's. Yeah, I mean, I think Ari mentioned on Twitter he's looking into it. I think he bought a mic. I think I don't know. I'm curious to see if it sticks with him. Something he wants to do. He talked about it and some of the reasons why he wanted to do it. So yeah, I think it'd be great. I think there's he's a wealth of knowledge. I don't know anyone who does it quite like him. So that would be pretty sweet if he ends up doing it. Reload. I was thinking about. Oh no. No, I'll think about that later. I think how this preload's attached to every other image would be interesting. So preload on this guy here. Or I had this before. No, let's do this. In theory, you should be able to. I mean, this won't rotate, but these will be rotating around for preloader. Kind of too close, man. Okay, so that's centered. Let's see, 100. Again, I think there could be some nice additional little meta things. I'm thinking about this as a alpha. I don't know if HUD is what they actually call it or not. Oh shit, doing stuff with the histogram could be fun. No, we're not doing any rotation. But this sort of meta associated with, yeah, like this. Palatable version of this. But you see there's so much stuff in terms of the actual lens on the outside, the interface. I was trying to find this before. Or no, I was trying to find the, how I have the position location. There's an equivalent of that when you zoom, or when you play back images and zoom in. It is there, but I don't know. You never find it on any of these UI screens. I could just get my camera and do it, but it's it's over there. I think, yeah, I was looking for this too. Because you can do selective points where you're focusing in on different areas. I mean, it'd be interesting to have the ability to move that center navigator. That's your area of focus, but I think that's just too complex. Yeah, these graphs are nice. Histogram. Could be cool meta that shows up, but I don't even know if you can do histogram WebGL. It's not really worth it. 3x2 raw. I don't know. I'm just trying to look at any other additional meta to pick up. But again, try not to do design for design's sake and just kind of I don't know, have all this needless stuff, because there was the zoom chart, zoom visualization, so it showed you what level you're zoomed in, but that has since moved onto the navigator itself, so we don't need that anymore. There's like positional information that's being shown next to the navigator. That was supposed to potentially here, don't need that. I don't think there's a way to bring like your position of the like within the image. At one point I brought the like this up underneath here and it's just like a clusterfuck. So I'm not gonna do that. But that's not center. That's very strange. See, that's the problem. That's something like I can't recommend enough is like just to be very thorough before duplicating anything in Sketch. You can save yourself so much headache and heartache. It's just like if you just are a little careful and like it's like I was doing with all these symbols and all these instances of the navigator. If I had just been smart and created this first one, set the rulers in the proper spot, would have been good. I don't even know what these are actually at right now. Now it's 100 because these should be 200. Yeah, 200 by 400. Yo, Arjun, what's going on, man? Again, coming through. Yeah, what? It's the little things like that. It's just so much easier. Do I just start editing photos? Everyone kind of at their max with this. If people are just like tapped out on this. Yeah, redesign the chat overlay. It's my font, but I think it should work okay. I can't see it, like it's so small in here. I need to take a look at it. And I don't, if you just got here, you haven't seen like when someone subscribes to the channel, the overlays are like these crazy default styles. Let's see if I can pull it up. Yeah, all these alert boxes. Like for some reason, the font size is just massive on all of these. So if someone follows or subscribes, I don't know. Now it's like font 64. Like I don't know how that happened. Big tight. But yeah, so this will be. I think I'm going to do the design of the overlays. I'm going to do off stream, but then one day I'll just do like the animation of it and exporting, implementation, and sound design. Would be fun. It could be a disaster. I played around with a couple ideas for sounds for it, and it just didn't work. So temper expectations. Forward. Sketch is just having a hard time. Maybe that's a sign. The lack of consistency here is a little troubling. All this resolved. Default doesn't make any sense. Again, they're the same things, but just one's expanded. I'm just tightening up the spacing a little bit to accommodate something like this. Like if we're gonna have a preloader with actually displaying the numbers, So this would be the progress of where you are in the story or the slideshow. So this is something I want. I want the slideshow framework to work for stories and individual images all the same. So again, just reusing things, trying to be strategic about it, and thinking about transitions between things is helpful. It's a little tight, but I think okay. Oh, you're probably hearing that. All my Discord sounds now. Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can turn that off real fast. Audio. Applications. How the hell? App settings, accessibility, notifications. Let's turn those off for now. Wait. Okay. Sorry, Ari's checking in on something. He said pictures scale perfectly now. So I guess he was like, he said he was fighting the mess, and I asked him who was winning, and he said the mess. But it sounds like he cracked that. So I don't know what the implications are for this site, but it's kind of cool to hear that he's making progress on that. I think that was a big blocker for him, was kind of getting that stuff sorted. So love to hear it. I think the one glaring thing is whether or not this play and fast forward makes sense. Well, if it does, I'll replace all these just with the longer canvas. So regardless of whichever direction I go, at least the I can always remove these from the symbol, like the Nessus symbol. Although you can see I'm hitting a problem here. I just don't think fast forward makes sense anymore. Because I think people want to automatically do it. I'm just going to get rid of it. Make any decisions. Oh, wait. I need. Nope. So resolved. This is a duplicate. So preload happens. Preload gonna happen on the slideshow. Gonna be ahead. So this would be ahead of the tooltip. Let's see. Preload, tooltip. I don't even want to see these anymore. I'm going to keep them actually. I can see a world in which it exists. This is where I have commitment issues with some stuff like this. I could, like, in the back of my head, think of a use case where it might be helpful, but I think for now, reload, close. tooltip. Kind of a useless tooltip. I don't think it's really going to help anyone at all. Resolve state, so that goes away. Count progress shows up. Zoom state, let's put at the end. I want this will be next. What is this ball? I don't understand why this is. It's linked to edit source. Oh, that's not the. Oh. Let's see. Apparently, it's using two different ones. I think this is the correct one. This one, not correct. Previous. This is using the correct one. Yes. So we play back, play forward. Go ahead. Play. Previous. Nope. This way you can kind of auto pan through the stories. That's what those end ones are indicating. There might need to be separation because the idea is you can kind of drag this between here and here. So this is like the speed. It's trying to indicate like this is where the speed is, but you can click and like go to the next one, click and play in either direction. And it kind of like same sort of idea with that as well. It uses the same logic. This is down here. And ideally, like my OCD really wants these all like perfectly staggered, but it's just not going to get there. Yeah, I think that all is good. Yeah, there's not going to be a super zoomed out version. That's just not going to happen. Some stories. This is minimized. I'll have to think through the exacts of that. I don't know. Is this detached? Play stories / play. I know this is kind of arduous. Stories, zoom. Promise, I'll end the paint. The only thing that's hard. So if you zoom, maybe it just becomes like a full screen thing and you can still see you can still go to the next one. This just becomes like a full height. I don't know. That could be kind of weird. Zoomed. Around the corners, let's do rotate. 5. Oh, it's because I have the wrong one. Kind of confusing. Not gonna lie. This one, I think we'll have to see whether those controls end up making sense. It might be too much. No, if it's full screen, then there shouldn't be any up. Like this angled sort of like these buttons shouldn't exist. It really shouldn't be that different, I think is what I'm getting at. More consistency, the better. The less things that move, the better. Yeah, I think that works. Sweet. And it may change. I can't really justify a reason why this should become any bigger like this. So there's like any sort of fluid scroll. Again, something in testing that may find out like, yeah, it's kind of cool to like pan around. I mean, who doesn't like big type? But then again, like for how wide these are, each of these spreads are like 2 viewports with potentially 10, 15 images. Like this is gonna be, so yeah. Plus like it's creating too many like interactions in too many directions. This story is not about like seeing the details of an image. The story, like it should be designed in a way where you see things correctly. Like I'll punch in on an image in that space because that's what you want to, or what I want to show in that moment. Zooming out, I think makes sense, but zooming in, it's just, I don't think that's it. That's not the answer. Zoomed, let's move to the end. I think just for kind of like a roadblock in the. I'll clean up my artboards. I know. This sort of spacing drives me nuts. Usually it's like 100 pixels between, but you know, let's just do this. It's at least even. That's pretty small. It's not the worst. So this is the default experience. Click on the next one. Transitions. should be next. The landing, play, reload. And again, I should have a different one. I'm not going to do this right now. Don't worry. And I think these need refinement in general. This would be zoom. Default. So I'll need to make a version where this makes sense of like, okay, you clicked into the zoom state, how's that reflected? It's basically gonna be a scale shift of all these icons. I could do it right now. I don't know what the scale shift's gonna be. It's probably like 125. No, 200. These would be scale 200. I guess I am going to do it right now. I entirely lied. I apologize. I'm no good liar. Let's get rid of that. Just little things like that. Again, it's going to need refinement. Probably should. But it helps tell like part of the story for Ari of like, this is what the expectation is. So it's just kind of this like continual iteration and refinement and refinement and refinement as more things are figured out. But I think the flow is feeling good. I guess what could be nice is like an end state. God, this is not good. This is really chugging. Actually, I shouldn't duplicate off of that. I should duplicate off this. So I'm curious what the file size is on this. Still only 70 megabytes. I think it's got to be just be the complexity of everything. It's very interesting on like where the performance hits occur. So yo, where are you coming from? What would be nice is if it could just transition into this. Oh shit. Kinda works. So this would be whatever the next story is. I don't know what it is. Let's see. I'll get rid of this. And then this grid of images, bottom. I'll have to think about like an end state for this. But the idea being is you could just kind of get to the end of it and it just pushes you into the next one. I don't know what this is going to be. This might get to like a weird. I mean, I might go back to default. Solved. No. It's still like the panning though. Document, navigator, pan, default. Yeah, so it might be this, and then having like, it's kind of like closing the book on a story. Or it's like if you're in a magazine spread, it's like as soon as you're done, you're into the next one. So is that more what happens? It's just like this kind of linear approach. Or maybe these off the top aren't there. Why is there two of these? Meta. They really both called image meta? So that's not smart. This, that. I think this needs some thinking through. I like the idea of it being part of it. I think the pan would be nice. I just think it comes with too many complexities in terms of like the idea of the pan is that you can free form any direction. Maybe once you make your way out, like you have to click out, and you're basically closing it out. It gives you a quick way back to the grid. I kind of like just like the next. It's just like a browsing experience. Oh, I feel like there should be stories end frame. Something where you need to like opt into it. So this is still this, and that. No. And this is something where we can do color adjust, saturation, soft light. Maybe it's not so much. Let's get this out of here. I don't know why these are different image sizes. That's not important. Let's say you get to the end state where this is front and center. Some way of like reducing the margin there. This gives us a little bit more space to come through. And I don't know if it's like next story. So there's like a definitive end and opting into it, and then once you switch, this background color will change to whatever makes sense. Let's say surf story. Whatever. Nailed it. Chip it. Just so like for my mental, this is not going to be a good font. But it gives an idea of like a branded thing where it's going to be all custom type. I don't know what I'm looking for. Yeah, there you go. I'm just going to lean into it as bad. It's all bad. You know what? Title. There you go. Zip it. But then there's just like this vibe change from one story to the next. So again, Ari can see background shifting, everything that's happening there. And now again, I have to look at legibility issues with this top nav. Maybe this needs to go to exclusion. Does help. But I do think the linear progression, maybe that's something that factors in more here. I mean, maybe this grid view just doesn't make the most sense. Maybe it's just a pulled back version. Maybe we have like a free zoom of just like this linear progression versus something like this. So it's always this like left to right progress. It's all like the cover spreads from each story. I just don't know, because it also feels nice having separation between like how you browse stories and how you browse the stories themselves, like the story details. Or it might make sense for it to be the same. I don't know. All things to sort out. Oh, it's already noon. 2 hours, 45 minutes. A little bit shorter of a stream. I may call it right here for today. I feel like I'm getting into some of these kind of nuanced details that I just kind of need to grind out, check out, and do. I don't know if it makes sense for me to talk through. I need to get it done. But I think kind of focusing, iterating, that sort of process might be better. So this might be the last photo site stream for a little bit. Maybe I'll shift over to, I don't know if I'll be ready to do the overlays and everything. It's a big priority. I want to get that done. I don't know if I'm going to have it ready in time. Again, hoping for more consistency. So maybe tomorrow, hopefully tomorrow. We'll see how the rest of today goes, what I can get done, because I do want to have the overlays more or less done from the static design, and then it's just like animating in After Effects and stuff like that. So yeah, if you made it through this, appreciate it. And again, like any of the comments on like the replays, especially on YouTube, I don't even know if Twitch has like replay comments that I can read. It just kind of has the chat replay from what I can tell. But I will check that. Like, would love feedback on this in terms of time, topics, things I need to stop doing. I can tell dad jokes all day. That's probably something I should definitely hear. But broad strokes. So I guess yeah, Ari's working. He's making a ton of progress. He just figured out a lot of like the zoom functionality. We're gonna figure out the preloading stuff. That'll dictate some of the details. I need to do some stress testing of all these different interfaces, how it's actually going to work, and probably add like little details and refinement. So not the most exciting, but I think this is a hard pivot after the last collaboration fell through. So I'm adjusting, but yeah, hopefully more brand stuff soon. Yeah, I think I'll be back tomorrow.